Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I actually started this on record. This is like my first time doing this, so we're already actually being recorded. I'm like, I want to make sure I get this.
Awesome. Okay, sounds good. Good.
So, where would you like to start, Kara?
Yeah, if you want, I can just introduce myself and my organization, and then we can go into the questions that you have.
That'd be wonderful.
All right. My name is Kara Conway, and I'm the Public Relations and Social Media Coordinator for Paws with a Cause. We are a national nonprofit that custom trains assistance dogs for people with disabilities.
So, Kara, it's a pleasure to have you here today to talk to you during these kind of crazy times.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you a couple of questions to take and do some video work for our Spirit Week that's upcoming that we want to talk about service animals. So
Awesome.
we already got the first one. What population do your animals serve?
So we train 4 different types of assistance dogs at Paws. We train service dogs for people with physical disabilities, seizure response dogs for people who have seizure disorders, hearing dogs for those who are hard of hearing or deaf, and then service dogs for children with autism.
Nice. So where do your animals come from? How do you obtain the dogs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when Paws first started off, we're 41 years old.
Happy birthday.
When we first started out, we were rescuing dogs and using them that way, but we were only seeing about a 1 in 12 success rate. So we started with our own breeding program, and now we've seen that success rate go to about a 1 in 2 to 1 in 3, depending on the day. We are very big advocates for, adopt, don't shop if you are to adopt a pet. But when you're talking about a service dog, an assistance dog, a dog that someone is trusting their life in, it's just really important that you know where that dog came from. And we actually look back 4 to 5 lines, 4 to 5 generations. So we can really have a good idea of not only the health of the dog, but also what their temperament is going to be. And we can change things like some people with disabilities don't have great dexterity. So golden retriever, their coats are naturally really fluffy and can mat easily. We have actually bred it so now that their coat is a little bit more coarse, so they don't have to do as much grooming.
Very cool. That's interesting.
Thanks.
So, and what do we do? You talked about people with dexterity issues. How about people with allergies to like pet dander and things like that?
Yeah, so we do provide standard poodles as one of the 4 types of dogs that we breed to help with clients who may have allergies. No dog is really hypoallergenic, but we find that poodles their dander doesn't affect people with allergies as much. So we will train a standard poodle, the big tall ones, if someone requests one.
Nice. So how do you choose the names for your pets and explain some of that to us?
That's so fun. So each litter has a theme. We go through the alphabet, so A to Z. So the A litter would have names like Apple and Avery. But we also have an opportunity where donors can donate a specific amount of money, and then they get to choose the theme for a litter of puppies. So we've had the Harry Potter theme or Game of Thrones theme. And then the puppy raisers, so who actually raise the dogs, get to choose a name off of the list. I've had people ask, like, why can't we just name the dog whatever we want? It's so fascinating to me that our names actually can't be longer than 2 syllables because it's hard for some people to say longer names. And it also can't be a name that sounds similar to a command. So if there was a name that sounded similar to stop or wait. And then third, there can't be any common human names. You wouldn't want to be at a restaurant with your service dog and someone starts yelling, Amy, trying to get someone's attention, and then your dog is confused. Wait, what am I supposed to do right now? So it's really fun. We have a lot of unique names that come through, and it's nice to know that each name kind of has a backstory behind it.
Very cool. So, question for you. What are, scouting does a good turn daily, and we're about service and helping others. So what type of volunteer programs or volunteer abilities are at a place like yours?
So we consider our volunteers our backbone. We would not be able to serve people with disabilities without them. We have two main volunteer opportunities, and that's to either host a mama or papa dog or raise a future assistance dog. So I'll start with mama and papa. As I mentioned, we do have our own breeding program. All of our breeding dogs live in homes with volunteers. So you can volunteer to either host a mom or a papa. And with the moms, you get to house them. You bring them into Paws when she's in heat. And if we need her certain line, we'll breed her. And then you get to house her through her pregnancy and actually whelp the puppies in your house. What an amazing experience. A lot of work, but truly amazing. And then you get to raise the puppies for the first 8 weeks before they come back to Paws. So a lot of work, but great experience. And then papa dogs is a little easier. You house the papa when we need him. He comes into Paws for a little spa day. And then when we're done with him, he goes back to you.
I like that term, spa day.
Spa day, yes. Our breeding room even has a disco ball in it. So
going with style.
Yes. And then for our volunteer foster puppy raisers, you get the puppy when they're 8 weeks old, and then you house them for about 12 to 14 months. When you have them, you're teaching them basic obedience and socialization, but really just loving on that puppy and making a puppy that's easy to live with. Then they come back to Paws at about 14 to 16 months, and we continue on their training from there.
Nice. So do you get to, or actually, why did you choose this profession? What brought you here?
Yeah, so I have always had a heart to serve, and how I got into nonprofit is a little unique. I actually went to school for nursing at first, and I can remember saying, I'm not going to be one of those freshmen that change their majors. Nursing is for me. Well, after one semester, I decided, this isn't for me. But I still wanted to be in a profession where I was helping people, and specifically in a health-directed way. So I found health communications, which is what my major's in, and then as well as nonprofit management. And I actually was an intern for Paws at my last semester of college. And then once I graduated, they hired me on full time. But what I love is that I know every single day that I go to work, I'm making a difference. And that's bigger than any paycheck could be.
Very nice. So do you get to play with the animals when they're there? Because I know they need socialization and just
Yes,
playtime.
They do. So assistance dogs, we have to be really careful that we aren't distracting during their learning. So a lot of the dogs on campus we aren't allowed to interact with, but I actually have my own foster puppy and my own mama dog that I get to bring to work with me every day. So I get to interact with those. And when puppies come in, when they're 8 weeks old, we get to welcome them in and thank the volunteers and love on those pups. So, and it's not every day that I get to play with a dog, but it's definitely a nice job work.
Very nice. That's always a good part to a job, especially any job that you can bring your pets to work with you.
Right.
Like, let's
awesome.
love that. That's like a payment in itself.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite animal that you've worked with? And it sounds like it might be the ones you're bringing to work with you, but.
Yeah. So I am currently raising a Papillon, and that is a really small dog with the really big ears. She is 7 months old, and someday she'll go on to serve someone who's hard of hearing or deaf. Her name is Poppy. For anyone out there who's seen Trolls, Princess Poppy, that's where it came from. And she is so sweet. And just watching her learn, she's so smart already at just 7 months, is really moving, and knowing that one day the love I put into her is going to change someone else's life. It's just an amazing experience. And teaches me so much teaching her.
I think that is probably one of the things that a lot of people don't truly understand what it's like to raise these dogs and have to give them away. A lot of people say, oh, I couldn't do that, I'd get too attached. And my sister does a lot of time with another agency that breeds dogs, and some of the dogs that have come into our lives through the socialization are amazing. And just to follow their stories and how they're doing, it's kind of like bringing your kid up into the world and turning them out into the world.
Exactly. I couldn't say it better myself. If I had a penny for every time someone said, oh, I could never give them up, I wouldn't need to work. So.
And then, the puppies, you could afford your own puppies all the way around, right? It's a common thing we hear. Do you have a funny story or a really heartwarming story or something that's really stuck with you?
Yeah. So when a dog leaves Paws, going home to their client, if the client is local, so we're a national nonprofit, but if the client is local to Michigan, they'll come to Paws and pick them up. All of our employees are invited to send the dog off. When I was an intern, I was welcomed into my very first client send-off, and it was a young boy and his mom, and he was getting his service dog for children with autism. He had autism, and he was meeting his dog for the first time. He stood in the middle of the room, just twiddling his dog's ears, and Artie was this big golden retriever, just gorgeous. And his mom is just crying and holding the sweater, and it's the middle of summer. And she's like, I know that Artie is going to make such a big difference in our lives already. It's only been 30 minutes, but Cal has never taken the sweater off. He wears it 24/7. It's his security blanket, no matter if it's 90 degrees out, he sleeps in it. And after just 30 minutes of meeting Artie, he's already felt safe enough to take off the sweater, take down his hood, and stand in this room. And I'm getting goosebumps. And, talk to all of you guys. It's the work that we do is instant, but then it's also so much longer than that. Artie was in Cal, before getting Artie, was in a padded room at school because he was a danger to himself and to others. And one day he had actually started eating the padding out of the walls. Within 90 days of having Artie, he was mainstreamed back into your typical classroom.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I could go
amazing.
on and on.
That is absolutely amazing. And, I believe there's some great stories out there, and we hear all these things of how the service pets have opened up, or service pets, I believe the correct term, service animals, have opened up people's lives to make their lives so much easier and to bring out some good things. One thing I always heard was, and I always believe this, is behaviors communication. Mm-hmm. And if we can help that communication understand what's being said to us.
Yeah.
And this is where that's a great example of the behavior, listening to it and responding to it.
Yeah. Something that's really interesting during this unique time, I don't know about for you guys, but I'm in Michigan, and we have been on quarantine for almost 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
And so
we're feeling you.
Yes. A lot of people are, complaining about this isolation that's happening, and making sure that you don't feel isolated. And for us in the disability world, it's really unique because a lot of our clients feel isolated every single day. And these Paws dogs help them not to feel so isolated. Physically, they're able to go out because of their Paws dog, but also emotionally, they make that bridge with themselves, able to connect with the dog, but then also having the dog being a bridge to the outside world. We have one client that says she uses a chair, and she says, when I used to go out in public, people would just look at me and be like, oh, feel bad for me. But now with my dog Sawyer, they say, wow, and they want to come up and talk to me. Just an amazing difference that a dog can break those barriers down.
It is very amazing, the role that animals have come to play in our lives, you
Yeah.
know. So, and with that, I just wanted to thank you for your time again,
Thank
folks.
you.
Again, folks, this is we're speaking with Kara from Paws for a Cause from Michigan. They are a national agency. You guys are on all kinds of social media.
Yes, we are.
Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram, LinkedIn. Please follow us. I would appreciate it.
there you go. And it's been great talking to you. And I think I would love to forward the invite to chat with you again to get some really good stories out there. I think it's so important. We have our Facebook page, Scouting with Special Needs, at Scouting with Special Needs. And there's so many of our councils that are starting this Facebook pages and things like that. So it's great to be able to share that information and help people understand it, not only for people looking for service animals, but also careers and life choices and like, where do I go? What are some of my choices in life?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to speak with you again. And I hope you guys have a very fun Spirit Week.
Thank you, Kara. You guys take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay well.